The Aggies may have lost the battle last night, but did they set themselves up better to win the war? Explain next here on the College Huddle. Welcome back to the College Huddle, everybody. 87 independent podcasts from coast to coast covering your favorite schools, your favorite teams. Make sure you're locked in here at the College Huddle by making sure you're subscribed, ring the bell, get notified every time we go live. This is the home base for those 87 podcasts here on YouTube. A&M, it's been since 1939 since they've won a national championship in the sport of football. And no doubt they have their best opportunity to do so this season. With Marcel Reed at the helm at quarterback, Mike Elko is head coaching year number 2. Huge wins on the season. 11-0 going into that big game against rival Texas last night. Everything was turning up aces for the Aggies until last night when they suffered their first loss of the season and got kicked out of the SEC championship game. And I know you're probably waking up this morning, Aggie fans, and you're probably upset and you're hurt. The Longhorn fans are waking up this morning thinking we still got a chance to make the college football playoff now, although albeit I think it's very slim. But A&M may have just actually helped themselves out in the long run in winning a national championship. Let me explain what I mean by that. So, there's not a lot of data to go off of when it comes to a 12-team playoff in the college football playoff. We have one season to look at. And I know that they've already changed some of the criteria and how they uh, position teams when they create the bracket for those 12 teams, right? They're going to go with the top 4 teams who get the bye, not the 4 Power 4 champions who get the bye, which makes sense after last year. All 4 teams who got the bye lost in the second round of the playoffs. But you do have this small data point given to us last year by Ohio State. Ryan Day and the Ohio State Buckeyes, after losing their final game in the regular season to their rival, Michigan, went on a 4-game winning streak in the college football playoff as the number 8 seed, taking down the number 9 seeded uh, Tennessee Vols at home, then going to the Rose Bowl and defeating Oregon, who was the number 1 seed, then to the Cotton Bowl, where they defeated Texas, and then on to the national championship game, where they defeated Notre Dame. And so we have that one little data point to look at for A&M going into the college football playoff. Now, when you sit here and you analyze where things are at for A&M and you look at the big picture here, this loss is going to set A&M back to no better than 4th. They still might get a bye, but they're not going to be 3rd now. That's not going to happen. If Georgia wins the SEC, they're guaranteed to be 3rd. Even if Georgia loses the SEC championship game to Alabama or Ole Miss, which, by the way, Alabama is playing for their chance to get to the SEC championship game today in the Iron Bowl against Auburn. If Alabama wins, they're in. If Alabama loses to Auburn, which I don't think they will, but if they were, Ole Miss, who won the Egg Bowl over Mississippi State yesterday, they're in. So A&M is out of the SEC championship game. There's no way for them to get in at this point because Ole Miss won. So they're going to not have any more opportunities next weekend to try and persuade the college football playoff committee of keeping them in the top four and getting a bye. So at best case scenario for them is they fall to four. I see them falling to fifth or sixth, given Georgia wins the SEC next week, and Texas A&M, or sorry, Texas Tech, then wins the Big 12. Let's say Texas Tech goes on and wins the Big 12 championship game. They would be 12 and 1, Big 12 champions. I think they would leapfrog A&M and they would get that number 4 spot. So I believe you would have Ohio State, Indiana. Currently, given the situations, scenarios, even let's say Ohio State loses to Michigan today, with A&M's loss to Texas, Ohio State having beaten Texas. I think Ohio State falls no worse than to third or fourth in the rankings. A&M gets bumped down to fifth, fourth or fifth. Okay. Indiana, who won last night over Purdue, who's in the Big Ten championship game, they're in the top four. I think Georgia, who's going to the SEC championship game, they're in the top four. I think those are solid. Ohio State beats Michigan today, they're in the top four. And I think Texas Tech has a chance to leapfrog A&M and get to number four. If that happens, it's actually good news for A&M. Here's what I think could possibly look like for A&M in the college football playoff. If they fall to fifth, let's say they fall to fifth, that means they would get a home game in round one. They wouldn't have to play next weekend, so they can start to heal up. And that home game would be against Tulane, James Madison, at home. It's the closest thing you're going to get in the playoffs to a guaranteed win. And it would be the easiest game in the first round, bar none, hands down. That team then plays the number fifth seed, which would be in my scenario, or excuse me, the number fourth seed. In my scenario would be Texas Tech. So A&M falls to five, gets home game against group of six team, easy win, then gets the weakest of the four teams in a bye, which in my opinion would be Tech. Let's say they play them in the Cotton Bowl or Sugar Bowl or whatever bowl that is. Can you imagine that game for Texas A? I mean, you got to feel confident if you're an A&M fan of taking down Tech and getting them to the Final Four. In my scenario, if you look at it from just those two games alone, compared to any other team from the Big Ten or the SEC, that is the easiest path to get to the Final Four. Take the number one seed. Let's say Ohio State or Indiana is the number one seed. And they end up having to play the winner of the 8-9, which is currently Oklahoma or Notre Dame. Could you imagine being Ohio State and or Indiana and having to play at Oklahoma or Notre Dame? Let me ask you, who would you rather play, A&M? Would you rather play Oklahoma or Notre Dame again? Or would you rather play Texas Tech? I know who I would sign up for to play in that game. So the number 4 seed, although it's not as nice as looking next to your school's name as number 1, it might be an easier path to get to the Final Four than the team who's number 1. Yeah, but Boggs, they have to play 2 games. I understand that. Let's look at the data points from last year that we had. The Final Four was made up of 4 teams who all played in the first round of the tournament. All teams who had byes actually lost their bowl games in the second round. Now, again, I understand the seeding was messed up last year, and I get that. But if you look at the big picture here, and I understand you're upset and you wish you could have gone to Atlanta and played in that SEC championship game and go win that SEC championship game, but college football isn't the college football that you remember just a couple years ago, and it's definitely not the college football that your daddy grew up on or your grandpappy grew up on watching with bowls at the end of the year with a bunch of uh, journalists picking the champions. This thing is won on the field now. And if it's going to be won on the field, you're going to want the best path on the field to get to that spot and win it. And that is exactly what A&M might be looking at if they fall to fourth or fifth in these rankings. So, yeah, last night stung and you lost and it hurts and you lost that battle against your hated rival Texas. But in the long run, you just set yourself up to win the battle. Use your noggin, A&M fans. Last night actually really didn't hurt. It helped. Let me know what you think about what I think down in the comment section below. Hit that thumbs up if you enjoyed this video. Make sure you come back and you check out the College Huddle. We try to drop content on your lap each and every single day. Go check out our website, thecollegehuddle.com. 87 independent podcasts from coast to coast covering your favorite schools, your favorite teams. They appreciate your love, and they deserve your support over there at the College Huddle. Have a great day, everybody. Enjoy the game.